Hey, what's up, Master Trainers? This is your host, Charlie Jonas here, straight out of Silicon Valley, and today gonna keep talking about what if all the starters were in Pokemon UNITE. Alright, and before we get started, I want to remind you that I have a playlist where I explain the origin behind the Pokemon names from the Pokemon roster of Pokemon UNITE, alright? So if you want to check it out, I'm gonna be leaving the video up there in the cards. There are already 3 of them for you to check, okay? And also, before we get started, I want to remind you as well that I have already released the part 1 of this video, alright? Where I covered all the starters from the Generation 2 all the way to Generation 4. So if you didn't see it, I'm gonna be leaving up there in the cards for you as well. Which leave us with the starters from the Generation 5, also known as Unova, all the way to Generation 8, aka Galar, to talk about in this video, right? So without further ado, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and share this video with everyone else that you think would like to talk about this stuff, okay? Alright, let's get started. Let's start with Generation 5 Unova, Serperior, alright? Which in my opinion would be a very good grass type ranged speedster, alright? That's because its base stats highlights are defense, special defense, and speed, yeah? So unlikely most of what you have seen before, right? It will be very fast but not that aggressive, yeah? Actually very resistant. So it will be, I don't know, at least in my opinion, a different approach for a speedster so far, okay? And since we have no other speedsters such as this one, yeah, which is ranged, there's no one else so far for us to compare to, right? And I think a very good moveset for this Pokemon would be moves such as Giga Drain, again recovering the Pokemon's life, the Serperior's life points, and also Wrap, which is a normal type but very characteristic from the snake-like Pokemon, right? And a second option for this Pokemon would include moves such as Leaf Tornado, yeah, which I think it could be a kind of dash. So I think the Pokemon could dash itself forward in a spiral shape, in a spiral way, and also creating the Leaf Tornado, yeah, with its own body, and also Leaf Blade, where it could summon a blade out of the tip of its tail, yeah, and then, I don't know, slashing Pokemon from the distance, right? I think it would be very good approach. And its ultimate attack could be based on the Leaf Storm, right? I don't know, perhaps this time like swirling upwards, you know, and creating a Leaf Storm and causing damage in the area or something like that. Now let's talk about Emboar, which in my opinion would be a very good melee attacker of the fire and fighting type, right? That's because its base stats highlights are life, attack, and special attack, yeah? So definitely attack, so being very, very powerful, which justifies its attacker role, right? And again, we don't have any melee attacker so far in the game to compare this one to, right? Which leaves this Pokemon in the same boat of Inteleon, right? So they are buddies, since they are so far the only, of course, hypothetical melee attackers in the game, but not really, right? Alright, and then its moveset could include moves such as Bulk Up, will definitely be a buff, right? And also Flame Charge, yeah, where you could slam the Pokemon of the opposing team with both arms, yeah, and also dashing forward doing that. And a second option for a moveset could include moves such as Hammer Arm, that would be kind of the Wood Hammer from Trevenant, and also Sunny Day, another buff this time, I don't know, perhaps causing some sort of burning to the opposing Pokemon. And I think its ultimate attack could go in the direction of something like Hit Crash, right? But not, I don't know exactly how it would work. And the last one of this generation is Samurott, right? Which, at least in my opinion, would be a very good melee attacker of the water and dark type. That's because its base stats highlights are life, attack, and special attack mostly, alright? So I think this Pokemon would be very cool, and again, not having anyone else to compare to other than the previous 2 ones from my hypothetical video. Alright, and I think a good moveset for this Pokemon could include Aqua Jet, yeah, in order that it would work as a dash, which is pretty much like the way Buizel does in the TV show, and also Fling, right? And Fling, I don't know, it could either throw in the opposite Pokemon far away or in another direction, or even throwing the Samurott itself towards a different direction, right? And then the second move set could include something like Taunt, which could be a very useful move in a way that you would force the opposing Pokemon to attack or to come towards you, right? So forcing them to go close to you, almost like what Wigglytuff does, right? And also Razor Shell, yeah, which could be something more like the Water Shuriken from Greninja. So imagine using both together, you force the Pokemon to come in your way, and then you throw the Razor Shell in a certain direction, this way never missing the Razor Shell, right? So I think it would match up very nicely. And its ultimate attack could go something towards the Hydro Pump, yeah, which we never seen so far. So I don't know, it could summon Hydro Pumps vertically, yeah, in an area, causing stun to all the Pokemon in that area. I don't know. Let's move on to the Generation 6, aka Kalos, alright? And let's talk about Chestnaught, that, at least in my opinion, would be a very good melee defender, grass and fighting type. That's because its base stats highlights are attack and defense. Yeah, so very much defense. Okay, so it would be a very good tank Pokemon, right? I think something like Blastoise, yeah, so a defender that at the same time could accept very well the attacker role, right? Causing also a lot of damage. And I think as movesets, it could have moves such as Bulk Up, which would definitely increase its attack power, and also Needle Arm. Okay, so Needle Arm, at least in my opinion, I think it would be a very interesting one. So it could be a kind of attack that stacks on the opposing Pokemon. So imagine like you use it, and if you hit the move, its cooldown drops to half of it, and then you can use it once again, and then if you hit it once again, it drops to 0, you know? So pretty much you can use it 3 times in a row if you, in a very short gap of time, if you hit all the 3 times, you know? So you hit once, half of the cooldown. You hit twice, no cooldown, then you're ready to hit 3 times. So I think it would be very good. And then the more we hit the enemy Pokemon with this move, the more stacks it gets, and then more damage it suffers, you know? Almost something like what happens to Duraludon, although instead of stacking with basic attack, and then, you know, hitting them with the wave, it would be more like hitting and stacking, you know? And then the more stacks it has, more slow it moves, and more damage it suffers for a while. So I think it would be a very interesting one. And then as a second option for his moveset could be something like Hammer Arm, somehow different than what I have proposed to Emboar, and also Spiky Shield, that here in this time could work something like a barrier, yeah, although one that if you get too close you suffer damage, you know, almost like what happens to Snorlax, although you cannot move the barrier, yeah, and then if you touch it, instead of being thrown backwards, you just suffer a lot of damage, alright? And as ultimate attack, I think we could have something like Solar Beam, right? But a different kind of Solar Beam, not the one you fire, just as we have on Venusaur so far, but could be a Solar Beam that you summon from the sky, you know? Imagine how cool would that be? You know, just like solar beams, you know, falling vertically upon the enemies. I think it would be very good, you know, whether it could be a bunch of solar beams distributed in an area, or if we could use it like, I don't know, 3 or 5 times to deliver a lot of power in form of single solar beams straight from the sky above the heads of the enemy Pokemon, alright? Then we have Delphox, yeah, which we all know is already confirmed to be released as an attacker, alright? Although, at least in my opinion, it will be a very good ranged all-rounder fire and psychic type. That's because its base stats highlights are special attack, special defense, and speed. And so it's very good at those three things, yeah, making this Pokemon more than well prepared to be a all-rounder. I think all-rounder fits way better than attacker, okay? Although of course its special attack is the higher one. And I don't know, at least in my opinion, I think it would be a kind of all-rounder ranged, very similar to what we have with Dragonite. Its moveset will also be very interesting, not because this time it could have a fire type Will-O-Wisp, yeah, that somehow would be different than the one we have with Gengar, but mostly because of the role play move, which is a psychic type, okay? So just imagine this move being a move able to mimic the last move it suffered, yeah? So as an example, just imagine like you're playing as a Delphox and it has role play, which it has no effect until your Pokemon being hit with another move. So let's say a Dragonite comes along and hits you with a Hyper Beam. From that point on, your roleplay will now mimic the Hyper Beam you got, you know? So then you're gonna be able to deliver Hyper Beams until you got hit with a different move. And so it goes, alright? So it will be a move option that will be constantly being changed, alright? So I think it would make the game even more dynamic in this Pokemon, super interesting. Almost like we had with Hoopa, yeah, that brought up some interesting and different mechanics, such as stealing points or berries from the opposing team, or even working with the portals, you know? And then as a second option for its moveset, I think could be a light screen, yeah? But not just light screen as the one we have with Mr. Mime, but it could be a light screen casted straight, you know? So this one will be casted straight like a Hyper Beam or like a Spirit Shackle or a Solar Beam, you know? But instead of just like being a kind of beam, it's going to remain there as a light screen, right? Being a way longer kind of barrier. And also Mythical Fire, okay? So Mythical Fire could be something different than what we have with Sylveon. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's Mystical Fire on Sylveon, but could work something like that, right? Although in a different way. And I think its ultimate attack could be Future Sight. Okay, but hear me up on this one. But unlikely the Future Sight we have with Gardevoir, this one, because it's going to be an ultimate attack, could work something more like it teleports not just Delphox itself to certain direction, but it teleports in an area, you know? So it gets everyone else who is around Delphox goes with it, you know? So imagine like, you know, again, I think it could be a mix between the Dragonite Ultimate, yeah, and also once again the portals from Hoopa. But you use it and then everyone gets around you, and then you are able to teleport everyone with you towards somewhere else, although of course the range would not be as big as the Dragonite's Ultimate, you know, but I think it would be very cool, very strategic to be used, you know. I would love to see all that coming true, but unfortunately I don't think that's going to be the case, since it's not even going to be an all-rounder. Alright, let's move on to Gen 7, also known as Alola, and talk about Incineroar, which in my opinion would also be a very good melee all-rounder, fire and dark type, alright? That's because its base stats highlights are life, attack, defense, and special defense. So again, very all-roundery, you know? And I think somehow it would work in the way that Machamp works, even perhaps being a sort of arch enemies, you know? It's a kind of counter for Machamp, since they are like both WWE Pokemon stuff. And then we, as its movesets, I think a good options for its moveset would be moves such as Throat Chop, yeah, that could work pretty much like the I'm not sure if the Karate Chop, but the one which is an alternative for close combat to Machamp, right? Which is also a kind of dash, and also Sunny Day, yeah, to work as a buff. Then a second option for moveset could include moves as Bite, which I think is very strong, and Fire Punch as well, to work also as a dash, pretty much like Machamp has the Dynamic Punch, sort of, okay? And I think a very good ultimate attack could be something towards the darkest lariat, right? Not exactly sure of how the lace stuff or not stuff will actually play, yeah, but I think it would be very interesting, mostly if it was towards only one target, okay? So I think it would be very cool. Now let's go and talk about Primarina, right? Which in my opinion would be a very good ranged supporter of the water and fairy type. That's because its base stats highlights are special attack and special defense, right? So it could be, I don't know, some sort of supporter that also can inflict a lot of damage, such as Mr. Mime is in some cases, alright? Its movesets could include Sparkling Area, right? I think would be very good to heal some Pokemon in a certain area. And also Misty Terrain, right? That could cause a fog and make all the allied Pokemon invisible. Imagine how cool would that be? Just like the smoke screen from Greninja, right? But being casted from the distance by Primarina in order to save and allow all its teammates to escape. I think it would be incredible. And also a different moveset could include Disarming Voice and Dive. So here Disarming Voice could work as a kind of silencing, you know, like preventing the Pokemon to attack or at least to use any kind of move, perhaps only basic attacks, you know. So it could be very good to have Disarming Voice, making the Pokemon not able to use any kind of move. So imagine that 1 second before you take down Zapdos, so that would be definitely something very, very useful, mostly if you could work in area, right? And also Dive. So Dive could work as a dash for this Pokemon in order for it to move around faster or even to flee more efficiently, alright? And I think its ultimate attack could be something more like the Charm, yeah? So Charm seems to be very basic and irrelevant attack, but imagine if you take this concept as an ultimate, so you pretty much could, I don't know, at least in my opinion, the way I see it, as an ultimate attack, you use something like Charm to draw the attention of all the other Pokemon from the opposing team that of course are close enough to you, and forcing them to attack you, you know, so you know, just directing all their attacks and moves towards you, you know, so this way taking all the damage and dying for the sake of your own team, yeah, proving that this Pokemon would be a perfect supporter, you know. So just imagine like combining Charm with Dive, so you can use Charm, force all of them to attack you, and then just flee away using Dive. Yeah, it would be such a good thing, you know. I don't know, I think it would be very, very helpful, and I would definitely play with this Pokemon a lot if I had the chance, right? Now let's move on, talk about the Generation 8, which is the last one for this video, of course, né? How could it be different? And I'm gonna be talking about Rillaboom, okay, which in my opinion would be a very good melee rounder of the grass type, since his base stats highlights are life, attack, and defense, mostly attack, right? So he has a massive attack, so I think it could be a very little all-rounder, such as Tisarina is, okay, mostly because Tisarina is also grass type that delivers a lot of damage. And its movesets could include moves such as Branch Poke, which I think could be something towards what we have on Trevenant, okay? But instead of charging with the move forward, I think you could just, you know, poke Pokemon from this distance and also push them away, you know? And also Grassy Terrain. And this one would be very interesting to be a move because it won't cause any damage, but at least in my opinion could work in the same way Leaf Tornado works for Eldegoss, alright? Although instead of just creating a short track for you to, you know, to run on, I think Grassy Terrain could create a grassy terrain in a certain area, making all the Pokemon from your team able to move faster in the area, okay? So being like a very huge area, yeah, that turns all this area green, yeah, because of the grass, okay? So turning the terrain in a grassy terrain, allowing your whole team to move faster. So it would be kind of support move built within a all-rounder one, okay? I think it would be very interesting to see. And also another option for its moveset could be drum beating. Yeah, I think where it could deliver damage in an area where this Pokemon goes around itself, you know, beating everyone else which is surrounding it. And also magical leaf that could hit Pokemon from distance, right? So I think it would be very welcome to this Pokemon. So it's a melee type. And its ultimate attack could be something like Solar Blade, okay? Don't ask me exactly how, I didn't give it a thought, but I think it would be very good to have Solar Blade, perhaps turn this Pokemon into a monster, you know, like with, I don't know, light blades on its hands, going berserker and killing everyone else on its path. That would be very cool. And the last one, but definitely not least of this video, is Inteleon, right? Which in my opinion would be a very good ranged speedster of the water type. That's because its base stats highlights are special attack and speed. So it would be very fast Pokemon with a very deadly attack, right? And again, we cannot compare this Pokemon to anyone else. So at least so far, because so far we don't have any ranged speedsters, okay? Only melee ones, which leave this Pokemon in the same group of the Serperior as we talked about in the very beginning of the video. And the best part of this video is that, at least in the way I see it, Inteleon could be a very good counter for the hisui with its Spirit Shackle, right? And I'm gonna explain you why. So as movesets for this Pokemon, we could have Soak, yeah, where, I don't know, you could just throw a bunch of water on the opposing Pokemon, yeah, making this Pokemon to get wet and also to move slower. So yeah, so I think Soak in a way that makes you slow down your enemy. It would be very interesting, okay? And also Snipe Shot, okay? So Snipe Shot for me, it would be the best part for this moveset. So Snipe Shot would work pretty much as the Spirit Shackle works, yeah, where you can charge it in release, and it has an incredible range, okay? It goes super far, the same way Spirit Shackle does, okay? So if you have Inteleon with this moveset, it will be pretty much a counter of having the hisui with the Ghost set, okay? So Soak will sort of do almost the same thing the Shadow Sneak does, alright? Although slowing way more the opposing Pokemon, since this time you're not gonna give Inteleon any boost. And then Snipe Shot working exactly as the Spirit Shackle does pretty much, okay? So instead of being a ghostly arrow, this time it will be a massive water shot, alright? So I think it will be super cool to see and even funnier to play. And a second moveset for this Pokemon, I think that could include Rain Dance, once again working as a buff for Inteleon, and then Liquidation, alright? So Liquidation would be very interesting because it could allow this Pokemon to deliver a lot of shots, okay? Almost like the Snipe Shot does, but with a way smaller range. So imagine being a short shot, but you can shot it multiple times. Something like that, right? I think it would be very cool. Or you could even shot in an area, okay? So you just deliver a bunch of shots, they're gonna hit an area in specific, okay? And as an ultimate attack, I think it could include Hydro Pump, but unlikely the last Hydro Pump I mentioned before. I don't remember now exactly if it was in this video or if it was in the previous video. I think it was in this video talking about Samurott, but not sure. I think Hydro Pump in this case could be very cool, you know? So this Pokemon could summon a Hydro Pump, like a pillar of water, yeah, to ride this Pokemon up, and then from up there you could have a way longer range in order to reach Pokemon, you know? So just imagine how cool that would be if you could use this move pretty much from the first base, and then, you know, from there you have range enough to hit Pokemon in the middle of the map, close to Zapdos, you know? So this move could just leave this Pokemon untouchable, yeah, invincible, like up all the way up there, so no one can touch it. And then it could increase massively its range, okay, or from its basic attacks. I think it would be awesome to see something like that happening. And of course, this kind of water pillar stuff I'm talking about, I, you know, got inspired from the Gigantamax form of this Pokemon, right? So if you knew it, you already, you know, could picture exactly what I meant, okay? And that's it. So there was the part 2 of this video, because so far we only have starters all the way up to generation 8, and I hope that soon enough I can make another video talking about the starters from the next generation. Alright, and this way we have covered so far all the generation starters from the generation 2 all the way to generation 8. Alright, now go ahead and tell me if you agree with me with my picks, okay? And if you don't, please just let me know down in the comments how would you do it. Alright, and talking about playing the game, you know very well that you can play it on mobile and Switch, but now I want to tell you that you can also play it as a board game through the tabletop simulator. Alright, so if you want to learn more about the board game version of Pokemon UNITE, how to play it and everything else, I'm gonna be leaving the video up there in the cards for you to check it out. So don't forget to leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and share this video with everyone else that also like Pokemon UNITE. Go ahead and hit the bell so you can get notified about new videos here in this channel. I hope you guys enjoyed what we have talked about today in this video, and I see you in the next one.